And we're going to get started in just a minute. Hit that share button so it's something. And we are excited to definitely go ahead and talk today. Everybody's doing well. Right, say hello as you come on in. I'm going to be able to see your comments. Comment and say hello as you come on in. We're going to be talking about dating like a wife versus a girlfriend. Let me just make sure I'm sharing this. We're going to share it. Hey everyone. Well, say hi as you come on in. And if you don't mind showing them live, also we're talking about how to date like a wife versus a girlfriend. Everybody's doing good. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I've shared it everywhere that I need to. And then I can see that you guys can hear me and see me just fine. So let me just get this music. All right, so hi everyone, hope everybody's doing well. Welcome everybody, whether you're watching me on TikTok, hi Instagram, hi Facebook and YouTube. It's so good to have you all here. For the best experience that you can have of this live is to go over and watch it on YouTube, because that is where I'm going to be. It's going to be living on YouTube. Okay, so it's going to stay on YouTube, because I don't know if you know, but Facebook is deleting lives as they happen. So where it's going to be is over on YouTube. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to jump right into this today. And let me just start with a couple of announcements and then we're going to carry on. All right, so it's definitely an exciting day. I'm so glad that I get an opportunity to go live. Haven't been live for a little while. And I wanted to come on in and talk about this topic, which is dating like a wife versus a girlfriend. Dating like a wife versus a girlfriend. Let me say that one more time. Dating like a wife versus a girlfriend, and what the difference is and why that's important. And so my name is Rachel-Yvonne McIntosh, and I am the Godly Femininity Mentor. I love to teach about how high standard, faith-driven women can embody their godly femininity and really prepare for a legacy level marriage. And so this is very specific to a certain type of woman and also about a certain type of man. And if you've been on any of my lives at any length of time, you probably have an idea of the type of man that we are talking about. We're talking about godly men who are leaders, who are leaders in their sphere of influence, whether it's in the church domain, whether it's in business, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, etc. So we're talking about being married to or dating men who are leaders, men who are strong and masculine and who have vision, right? So it's a specific type of man, which means that we're also talking about a specific type of woman. And if you want more information about that, the link to in the bio, so whether you're on TikTok or Instagram, and also if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, it's in the description. On YouTube, it's in the description. If you click the link to my link tree, you'll get access to everything that you'll need to know about what I'm doing currently, and where you can learn more about the teachings. All right, so today we're talking about knowing the difference between dating like a wife versus dating like a girlfriend. And there are differences, and we are going to dive into those right now. And so if you're watching me live or on the replay, doesn't matter whether you're live or on the replay, I would love if you would drop a number 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me. Drop a number 1 in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me. Let me see if I can get some ones in the chat wherever you're joining me, whether you're watching on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Please do. I would love to get a number 1. Let me see some ones if you can hear me and see me. Okay. This is definitely a good conversation, and I encourage you to share this with somebody else so they would also be able to learn and really kind of get into this conversation. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So too many high achieving women are exhausted, right? I speak to hundreds of women every single week. And what I've realized is that sometimes it's being exhausted, wondering why men pursue, never commit. And honestly, there is a difference between showing up as a girlfriend and showing up as a wife. And girlfriend energy is fun. It's temporary, right? It's convenient. But it's never what you're actually looking for, right? Whereas when you have wife energy, that means that you command recognition, respect, and pursuit. There's a way that you show up in the world, and it gives you certain types of results, okay? And it's a difference between being someone's pastime and being someone's legacy. When they look at you and they think that I could have a future with this person, or they think about where you could match or fit into their life. If you've never had those conversations and the man has never ever asked you those things about future things like your vision, things you'd like to do in the future, or oh, you like the hair, thank you very much, thank you, things you like to do in the future, or vision as it relates to the future, those things are really important. And if he never asks you about the future, then he probably doesn't see you in the future. And I'm just going to be quite blunt there with you, that if he never talks about the future with you, then he probably does not consider you in the future. If you never hear things like, even down to what's happening next year or in a few months, or traveling or things like that, if he never talks about the future with you, then you're probably not in his future. And there are 3 main differences that I'm going to go through today. But I also want to let you know I have an amazing program coming up, which is going to be next week. And it's for 7 days. We do 1 live stream. And after that, every day is like daily activations for momentum, for kind of like deepening in the work that we do in the masterclass, which is called How to Be Irresistible. If you're watching this on Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to put up the picture right now, actually. And then you're going to be able to see that on here, How to Be Irresistible. And I'm excited about this because this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I had a masterclass last year called Irresistible. And this is that, but times 1,000. So in the year since we've done it last, we're diving even deeper. I've got more like personal stories. I've got more stories from you ladies, what you've shared with me in our private coaching calls, and scenarios, and different things that we're going to get into inside of How to Be Irresistible. It is $97, and you'll get obviously join me live or on the replay, as well as the 7 days following. And of course, you get it forever and ever and ever. You get to keep it forever. You're wondering what this is over here. This is my walking pad. I've just leaned it up because obviously I'm not using it right now. And so let's get into these 3 differences and why it's important as well. Now, if you're on here and you're saying, well, you just want to be a girlfriend, you don't actually care about being a wife, then that's okay. Then you can also listen just to get maybe some ideas if you ever did want to change over from just being somebody's plaything to actually being his permanent thing. Okay. And so when it comes to the first area is around standards versus settlements. You hear a lot of people talk about settling and like standards and things like that, but most of the time we don't really get into it. And what I've realized is that a lot of times standards and set what you're willing to settle for, you don't always have to over communicate them. A girlfriend, when you're in girlfriend energy, you're excited to be chosen at all. You're excited to be chosen at all because you really have this like scarcity mindset, and it can come from this place of, well, I'm lucky to even have somebody. No, it also, even saying these things is making me cringe because I just couldn't imagine ever thinking that way. And then where it's like, where you love to be seen as being independent. I don't need a man, I'm okay. I'm happy with where things are. And this is the thing, is when you try to go with that, oh, I'm so chill energy, when inside you really want something else. I'm going to tell you that every time you try to pretend to be somebody that you're not, or you pretend to want something that you don't really want, what's actually going to happen, you're going to self-sabotage. You're going to sabotage your own results when you show up as inauthentic. And I'm going to tell you this as well. The kind of men that we're talking about, they can see through you straight away. And they will play the game with you. They will play the game with you because if you open your legs, if you give them your time, if you let them take you for a ride without any investment, without any kind of incentives or nothing about the future, they will let you. So, and here's the thing, you've got to get to this place of accountability where you realize, wait, I allowed it. If you've ever heard me talk about past relationships or when I've been married, you'll never hear me say anything negative about the person. It's always heavy on the self-accountability, right? Heavy on, hey, I chose this. I chose this, or I chose to do ABC. I'm always going to say what I chose to do and how it ended up due to my choices, because I'm an autonomous being, right? I make my own decisions about who I marry, who I date, where I go. And therefore, if I choose to do something, it is, oh, what is happening? Hold on. My phone is being so weird. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Tell me, TikTok and Facebook, Instagram, are you good? My phone does this weird thing. I don't know if anybody else's phones does this. When you touch another iPhone, it like starts doing this weird thing. Anyway, my two devices touched each other and they decided they wanted to airplay to each other, whatever. Anyway, so when you are in the girlfriend energy on this first step that we're talking about, which is standards versus settlements, you're excited to be chosen, and then you pretend to be independent, and you avoid, listen to this, you avoid tough conversations about vision or provision because you don't want to rock the boat. And I'm just checking in with my notes because as a preacher, you all know I'm a preacher, so I will go off script in a moment. Hey, Bishop, thank you so much for your encouragement this afternoon. When you don't want to rock the boat, see, I'm not afraid to rock the boat. And some people might feel like, oh, that's a little bit pushy or whatever, but it's not pushy. You've got to learn what you're willing to accept and what you are willing to actually deal with in that situation, in that relationship, in that marriage. And as far as I'm concerned, I prefer there to be clear. I prefer there to be clarity in the situation. I prefer for people to be clear about what's going on, where we're at, and so on and so forth. So when you're in girlfriend energy on this first step of standards versus settlements, you avoid tough conversations about vision because you're scared. When you don't want to talk about the future with him, even when you just meet, I literally had a guy message me like in this week. And the reason why I can talk like this is because this is normal for me. This is normal for me. And I want you to understand that, yes, you feel privileged, you feel honored and whatever, but when it becomes your norm, you realize that actually how I show up makes a big difference. I even had a gentleman talk to me this week about the future and ask me about, where do I think I'll be next year? Or what are my travel plans coming up? Blah, blah, blah. Because he knows what kind of energy I present with. And this is something that should be your norm as well. For those of you who are interested in being a wife, this should be your norm as well. What I'm talking about shouldn't sound alien to you. And if it does sound alien to you and you've never experienced this level of intention around pursuit, this level of intention around provision, this level of intention around how a man shows up for you, then you definitely need to join me for How to Be Irresistible. How to Be Irresistible is going to be amazing. It's my best work. I feel like I my work and what I do gets better every single year. Like literally, as time goes on, I get more experiences. I speak to more of you ladies. We have different more scenarios, and I experience different more things in the world. What I'm teaching gets 1,000% better. So you want to join me for how to be irresistible. So what does wife energy look like when it comes to standards versus settlements? Wife energy, this means that you know, number one, that your time is precious. When you have wife energy, you know your time is precious. And you know that your presence is valuable. Okay? And it also means you don't settle for crumbs and you expect consistency. You expect planning and you expect generosity because you're generous. Do you see what I'm saying? Like you give off that energy and therefore it is normal for you to experience certain things. And you realize that if a man is unable to cover you while you're dating or getting to know them, you know that he will be unable to cover you when you get married. There are some things that you need to be paying attention to now. You know, for example, you need to understand that when it comes to seeing you and planning to see you and things like that, there needs to be this idea of planning. And when you realize that you are not a convenience, but you are born for commitment. You are not a convenience, you are born for commitment. And this looks different, depends on where you are in your life, where you are in your energy, and so on and so forth. But that's one good example. And then the second part of this is performance versus presence. A lot of the times you ladies are performative, and the men that are watching this live and, you know, jump in my inbox and talk to me and whatever, they notice when you're being performative. They know the difference to when you're showing up as yourself and when you are being performative. When you are a girlfriend, when you show up with girlfriend energy, you're auditioning, you're oversharing, over talking. Hello. I do not allow myself to be caught up in over talking. You cannot overshare and be someone who gossips. And even when you make a mistake, you got to pull it back. We live in a time where gossip is normal and certain environments are conducive to gossip. But you have to learn, and I've had to learn the hard way. And this is why I do the things that I do and say the things that I say, because I learned the hard way so that you don't have to. So that you don't have to. Now, if you want to continue to learn the hard way, that's fine. I'm just trying to offer you something, an alternative. So when you're in girlfriend energy, you audition, you overshare, you overgive, you try to prove that you're different from everybody else. Maybe even start to put yourself in different places, buy him gifts too early, or you plan every detail, be his therapist, all in hopes of him choosing you. When you try to do all the things so that he would choose you, rather than wife energy is resting in your presence and showing up authentically. You know that your allure doesn't come from doing the most, but it comes from being aligned with your worth. And when you carry yourself as the one who is his inspiration, so I use the word muse, which just means his inspiration, the one who like pushes him in that way, when you carry yourself that way, your posture, your smile, your stillness does the work. And I'm always telling you on these lives, different comments that I get, or they'll be like, wow, you are so attentive, or you're so sweet in the way that you say this, or you're so supportive, or, you know, the way that you said this, I love how you said this. Or they'll come back to me months later, even weeks later, years later. I heard somebody say something in the last 7 days. All my days roll into one because of how my schedule is. But I heard someone say something in the last 7 days of something that I said like 5 years ago. When you carry a certain energy, you are unforgettable. And, you know, I've had a seminar called Unforgettable as well, but this one is called Irresistible. And so when you understand this on the date, for example, here's a good example. When you're on a date or you're on the phone, I love to leave silence. I love to leave moments of silence. I love to let him speak. I love to hear what he has to say. I love to give room for moments to breathe. And I noticed that you have to work on not being nervous, right? So on a date, for example, even on the phone, like a girlfriend energy is about nervously filling every silence, laughing too loudly to prove that you're fun. Whereas it's learning how to hold the silence with grace, learn how to look him in his eyes, to actually, smile and be at peace. However, you can only display peace when you have peace inside. Peace has a name, and his name is Jesus. And so allowing Holy Spirit to really speak to you, that quiet confidence will make you magnetic, which is irresistible. There's even been times where there's been a disagreement, because I don't argue, but there could be a discussion or a disagreement. And because I am willing to pause and listen and to take what's being said without, like, for a moment, and then I'll be like, I'll respond to what's being shared. And sometimes it's really hard to hear criticism, or it's really hard to hear something that you're like, oh, I didn't know I did that, or I didn't mean to do that, or I didn't expect it to have this result. Especially for me, because my human design is that I'm a projector, and I'm also an extrovert. So I'm the kind of woman that, like, I love results. I love to get things right. I love to have good results in every part of my life. And, which on the other hand can sometimes make you into a people pleaser. Do you see? When you know yourself, you must know yourself so well. And inside of How to Be Irresistible, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the page actually. When we inside of Irresistible, we're going to be talking about that, of like radiating a presence that's so magnetic, so holy, so abundant that you cannot be ignored. Not because you said anything, but because of how you showed up. Because there's something about the energy of a woman who is powerful, of knowing she's powerful without inserting herself. And the thing is, I was at a conference in the summer. In the summer, I went to like a bunch of conferences, right? I was at this particular conference, and I knew that I wanted to introduce myself to somebody that was in a group. There was like a group of like 5 men, I think it was. I knew 3 of the men in the group, but 2 of them I didn't know. But I knew during the course of like the conference that I was going to be introduced to them. But I saw them all talking, and I went up there and I said, like, I made a joke, and they all laughed. And then the ones that knew me introduced me to the ones who didn't know me. And it was fun. It was all good. Because when you just show up as yourself, do you see? I wasn't nervous because I knew a couple of the men in the group. And so I just walked past and I was like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what I said, but they all laughed and then introduced me to the new ones that were in the group. And you got to understand that when you show up as yourself, the way you are and your energy will always allow you to receive whatever it is that you're giving off. That's why who you are and what you know about yourself is really important. Self-awareness, accountability, and stepping up and showing up as yourself. Then the third and final area is this: covenant versus convenience. So we talked about that when I first opened up. So in girlfriend energy, investing years and years with a man who dodges commitment. Every time she asks, where is this going? He changes the subject. How many of you have been in situations like that, where you have dated someone for a while? I've never dated anyone that long or been in a situation like that, because I am clear on results. So you need to make sure that you are the type of woman who is clear on what her results need to be, right? And so as a girlfriend energy, you stay hoping one day he'll decide, one day he'll choose me, one day, if I just cook enough, if I just clean the house enough, if I just do his laundry, if I just do this in his business, or all these kind of things, and I just, open my legs enough, if I try the new tricks, if I do this, do that, all these things, all this doing that you are thinking. And here's the issue: you are thinking too much. You are thinking too much about what I need to prove myself, when actually you're losing yourself in the process. Whereas wife energy, this is where you show up and you embody covenant. You know, when you read the story of Esther, which I teach about inside of my membership, Rich Wife Vault, you can join that whenever you like. Esther showed up as being prepared, right? She was discerning and she was strategic. She listened to the coaches that were around her. She didn't come from riches. Whereas Vashti, the queen that the king had before, was from royalty. If you were to study history, you'll learn more about Vashti. Vashti is not really mentioned as much in the story of Esther. The story of Esther is focused on Esther, but they're two different women with two different mindsets. And when you are in wife energy, you are able to multiply vision. You're able to sustain the love that is given to you. And you position yourself as a crown, not a placeholder. When you are clear on that, it's so funny because one of my guy friends always laughs at me because he's always like, Rachel, stop pretending. I know that I was joking with him one day and I was like, oh yeah, maybe one day, a woman that you love would only be like 20% of what you need. And he was laughing at me. He was like, Rachel, don't even joke with me because you could never be anybody who's just 20%. And I was laughing because I was joking about the topic. But the thing is that when people start to know you and see how you show up, they recognize what it is that you carry, even when you don't. But my goal is that you would recognize who you are without anybody telling you. Without anybody telling you. So a girlfriend hears this. I'm not ready for marriage, but I love what we have. And she stays anyway. Whereas a wife hears that same line and thinks, then I'm not for you. You learn how to play chess, not checkers. You realize that if I listen, and I can still, here's the thing. And this is where some people might disagree with me. I feel like in that kind of scenario where you realize that that man doesn't want to marry you, but he's happy to date and go out and stuff. Honestly, I feel as though if you genuinely like that person, that you can still date them because he knows what's up and you know what's up. The issue I have is when you are going in trying to change him, trying to change what's happening, trying to change the outcome. But if I stay long enough, then maybe he'll marry me. And I'm going to tell you this, and some of you are not going to like this, but here we are. I've noticed that in those situations where a guy marries you eventually, those marriages don't end up being very good if they last at all. I can think of a few people right now who have been in that situation where they were dating for like years or they had children, lived together, bought a house together. And then when they did get married, that we just was disastrous. And this is the reason. Because when you put yourself in the energy of being a girlfriend for so long and you've settled for whatever it is that you're getting, thinking that if I show up just a little bit harder, if I open my legs every day, like if I do this, he's going to do that. And if I do this, if I pray hard enough. No, that's not how it just isn't the way it works. And even when, like I said, even when a man marries that one who stuck around, who just was always there and didn't mind the fact that he cheated or he spoke to someone else because he's still looking for his wife. This is the thing. He's still looking for his wife. And you're thinking, I'm her. Why doesn't he see that? You've got to know and love yourself enough to say, okay, I see what we're doing here. And play the game better than him. Now, that's just my advice. If you're not strong enough to do that, then I suggest you break up with him. That's fine. But I'm just giving you what I think and how I would approach the situation. So then, whereas the wife thinks, a woman who's in her wife energy, wife mindset, says, I'm not for you. And she moves forward knowing that God's promise is bigger than temporary comfort. So you've got to understand, look in your own life and see. We often use this verse over and over again. Proverbs 18:22, it talks about he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Notice that in that it's about finding and about being good. And but what I need you to understand, because I'm not even focusing on this verse tonight, I need you to understand something. That you first have to believe this about you. And if you're struggling with those areas, you need to understand this, that girlfriend energy is replaceable, but wife energy is irreplaceable. There will never be another you, but you have to show up as you. Stop trying to be like everybody else. Stop listening to every voice and realize that who God has called you to be is who you need to be in this season. And you've got to really kind of step into this, because knowing the difference is one thing of what it looks like to be a wife versus a girlfriend. But becoming irresistible enough to live it is another. And this is why I'm excited about our new program, which is How to Be Irresistible. And this is going to be a powerful experience for all the ladies that join us. If you've ever been in any of my programs, you know the deal. You know how good it is. And there are some of you that join everything. You buy everything. You invest in everything because you are determined to. Not everybody had good mothers. Not everybody has a mentor. Not everybody has great examples of womanhood, of femininity, of what it looks like to be a godly woman. And that's why I love to share and teach these things from a perspective of experience, as well as the teachings and the studying that I've done over the years and the conversations that I've had with women just like you. So inside of How to Be Irresistible, we're going to be talking about how to stop performing and to start radiating from your presence, talking about how to command respect, generosity, and pursuit without begging, how to shift out of girlfriend energy and embody wife energy and become the woman he can't replace, can't resist, and can't walk away from. I literally had someone reach out to me, was it yesterday? In the last, I love whenever I do these things because I always have examples from this week. It's just the way it is. And I'm saying these things and I hope you're receiving them in the energy I'm giving them. It's never to brag, but to show you that this is just a normal way of living. I had someone circle back this week and be like, oh, I'd really like to see you. And I'm just like, yeah, of course you do. I'm honestly not surprised, because when you meet someone who is authentic, who knows who she is, and walks in the way and the path that God has set out for her, you will never forget her. And first of all, ladies, you need to remember that that's you. And I'm here not to make you be somebody else, not to turn you into me or some other person or whatever, but I'm here to remind you of who you really are. And so if you're ready to stop gambling with your future and start living in the fullness of godly femininity, then you should join me for How to Be Irresistible. It's $97 and it's an amazing program, my best work yet. As I said, what I talk about and what I teach gets better and better every single year. Those of you that have been in all of my programs, you'll know that there's an intensity that is growing with each year, with experience, with life, with love, and with everything. Your future husband isn't praying for a girlfriend. He's looking for a wife. And it's time for us to step into that energy and understand that if I could just maybe tweak one or two things, how different could my response be? I said to someone, I think this morning, someone was saying to me, they were just like, oh my gosh, Rachel, when are you going to say yes? And I'm just like, when it's a non-negotiable for me. We live in 2025. And I need you to understand that having wife energy doesn't mean you have to say yes to everybody. What it does mean is that you're able to see and discern for yourself who is the best man for the future that God has for me. And until you meet that person, you continue to level up, you continue to improve your life, you continue to pray, you continue to fast, you continue to study, because like we read in the scripture, it is about when he finds you. All right. And when he finds you ready, some of you, your husband's already met you, but you weren't ready. Some of you, your husband's already met you, but you were too stush. You were too stuck up. You were too, I don't even know what the word is. I went to the mall today to get something, and I was rushing because I didn't have a lot of time, and I need to do something with the kids and some other things. But I saw there was a guy in the store, and he looked at me and he was like, oh, wow, you look really pretty. I said, thank you. And he was like, you look like you're in a rush. I said, yes, I am, but thank you so much. So even when you're in a hurry, you can still turn around and be like, thank you so much. And that the reason why I do that is because even though it's a norm for me, daily gratitude and gratitude in your life, period, increases the possibility of magnetizing more. When you know that you're irresistible, when you know that you're unforgettable, when you know that you're magnetic, you're always adored, you're always loved, you're always chosen, you're always covered, you know that as soon, even before you walk out of your house, that you are always going to have one of my favorite songs, Goodness of God. In the bridge, it says, your goodness is running after me. It's running after me. So when you know that it's chasing you, God's goodness, his love, his favor is chasing after you. But are you dodging it? Like you're dodging, when you should be, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to receive. I'm so happy to receive and receive with gratitude. When men give you offerings, when they give you tributes, when they give you gifts, when they give you compliments, how do you receive those things? Are you saying, oh, I don't need it, or, oh, no, you don't have to do that? He knows he doesn't have to do it, but he's doing it because he sees you. You can't ask for provision and you can't ask for covering, but on one hand, be saying no to it. That is, what does the Bible call this? A double-minded man who's unstable in all their ways. Are you unstable? Are you double-minded? Or are you focused and single-minded? Decide what you want. When you are clear on that, you'll get more of what you want and you'll be able to say no to what you don't want. So when a man shows up and he's like, Rachel, I just feel led to prophesy. I feel led to do this. I feel led to do that. I feel led to offer you this. Assess every opportunity. I'm not saying you have to accept every opportunity. That's not what I'm saying. But learn to discern. But you won't be able to discern if you're not clear on what you want. Getting clarity on what you actually desire will help you to say no to things you don't desire. So again, if you're dating like a wife, it's very different to dating like a girlfriend. And join me for How to Be Irresistible. I'm going to go ahead and put that up one more time for those of you that are on Facebook and YouTube, How to Be Irresistible. And I want you guys to join me. It's going to be such a fabulous time. If you're watching on Instagram or TikTok, the link is in my bio, or you can message me and I'll send it over to you. Those that are watching on YouTube and Facebook, the link is streaming for you right there. On YouTube, it is in the description. Okay. And we're actually going to be doing this next week. I know that you don't need a long time to decide. When you want to do something, you know that this is right for you. And so for every one of you that this is right for, go ahead and register. It's going to be next week. And you really need to be in the live energy of what we're doing. Because when I repackage this and it's up as a replay, it is going to be more. So I guarantee that you need to join me when we do it live, which is next week. So How to Be Irresistible. And I love this bottom. Return to the feminine, holy, and abundant essence that makes you irresistible, not just to him, but to life itself. You want to know why I attract certain great things in my life? Is because I always return to who God has called me to be. And in the moments where I'm not being who God has called me to be, I'm stuck. I feel blocked. I don't have inspiration because I'm moving too fast, doing too many things. But the moment I stop doing and I be, and I rest in being, and I'm like, God, remind me who I am. And that's why the tagline for this is return to the feminine, holy, abundant essence that makes you irresistible. It's about returning. It's about being, not doing anything different, but being. I want to remind you. So when you join me for How to Be Irresistible, it is $97 and it's going to be an amazing time. So if you're interested, let me know. I'm always open. My DMs are open. So you can message me and let me know if you have any questions about it, or if you are, on the fence or whatever. But I know I just know that the women that are going to join me for this, we are about to have a time. All right. So God bless everyone. I'm going to say bye now to those of you on TikTok, and bye to Instagram. And lastly, bye to those who are on Facebook. God bless, and God bless YouTube. Bye-bye.